When you're in winter's favorite town, the snow-covered mountains surround you. A historic Main Street charms you. And every day brings a new adventure. Welcome to Park City, Utah. Naturally, winter's favorite town. Join the experience at visitparkcity.com.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds.
Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous two-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month.
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Productivity, winning strategies, and aligning employer-employee goals. If this sounds like something your business could use more of, then you've come to the right place. The Business Mechanics Show with your host, Vaughn Sigmund. Let Vaughn show you how to develop, improve, and jumpstart your business. So now, please welcome the host of The Business Mechanic, Vaughn Sigmund.
Welcome to the Business Mechanics Show, where your growth is the name of the game. I'm your host, Vaughn Sigmund, co-founder of Results Driven Leadership. At Results Driven Leadership, we offer the essential tools and expertise to help you and your team achieve exponential growth and take your management success to all new heights. Our expert guidance will empower you to establish a culture of progress and unleash your company's full potential and achieve success at a far faster pace. So join us. We'll help you thrive in the competitive world of business. It's time to embrace you and your company's true potential and achieve the success you deserve. Let us help you make that a reality. And speaking of reality, the topic I'm sharing today is very real: manager burnout. And during this podcast, I'm going to share with you my 7 solutions, because I've personally experienced this myself. This isn't something I read out of some theoretical book. This is from my real world knowledge. I've been there, I felt it, but I solved it. And I'm going to share with you my 7 solutions to reducing stress and avoiding burnout. Oh, the stories I could tell. But let's get into it. The fact is that manager burnout is a very pressing issue, and I think it's getting worse than ever. I want to bring this all to light to you because it can be critically damaging to you as an individual. And in fact, if you're running a big team, you're a business owner, you're executive in an organization, this burnout could be affecting your entire organization if it's you or someone that's reporting to you. And this typically comes to pass, this burnout, when I or any other manager am subject to prolonged bouts of stress, leading to a complete drain of our physical, emotional, and mental energy. And it's hardly surprising when you consider the demanding workloads, the relentless hours, we're having to do more with less these days. Some of the high stakes decision making that we have to make. You compare all these conditions with an imbalance between work and personal life and a noticeable lack of support, because many managers out there, I tell managers this all the time, when you move into this role, you don't have a lot of support. People, your boss, is leaving it up to you to be successful or not. And there's a notable lack of support when many managers move into that role. Some are more mentally prepared for it than others. But all this leads to a chronic stress and sometimes utter exhaustion. And I've absolutely been to that utter exhaustion part. So I want to share with you some good news that they're all preventative and they're all fixable. I'm going to share with you some preventative measures that can help us all tackle burnout before it takes root. You've got to know that it's coming and take the actions. And I'm going to offer my simple, but what I have found, and I've shared with many others, and have found that are effective. There's strategies that are effective that enhance the work-life balance, or work-life integration, as many people term it today. Making sure you're getting more support, because as a manager or a leader in an organization, sometimes you have to ask for it. It's not going to be volunteered, this support, either from your boss, your peers, or your direct reports. And I also want to provide you with some additional resources that can help us all as managers reduce our stress levels and maintain our performance, because that's really it. More stress, less performance. You don't realize it. As I've said before, it's an insidious villain that creeps into our lives, and we really don't know how it's affecting us until all of a sudden we're doing things that we never imagined we would ever do. We're hiding from decisions, or we're making bad decisions, or we're blowing up, or all we can do is drag our butts home and fall to sleep at night. That's not good for your health, not good for your relationships, and it's really not good for your career. So I urge you to take charge of your career and listen to some of these 7 solutions I share to prevent manager burnout, or maybe even solve it. Let me get into these personal best practices. And by the way, once again, I practice them all and continue to have to remind myself, listen, I am not perfect at this. I find myself working way more hours than I should be. I have to catch myself and before the stress sets in, and take some of these measures. So let's first start with best practice number 1. You've got to set realistic goals and boundaries. All managers must know and have at their access realistic goals that they're being provided for themselves, that their boss is providing them, and they're providing for their team. And when you have realistic goals and have established the right boundaries, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more, you can mitigate and prevent stress by by defining clear and achievable objectives. You can then focus your energy and efforts on tasks that truly matter, and avoiding the feeling of constantly being overwhelmed. God, I hate that. And I want to talk about some effective goal setting communication as well, especially when it comes to the goals that are assigned to you from your boss, your superior. And really revolves around open, honest dialogue, being straightforward. And anybody that's listened to this podcast in the past knows how straightforward I can be. And your ability to engage in open dialogue with your boss to make sure you're tightly aligned, that your clarity has been established, you are pinpointed in understanding what is expected of you, so you can then convert that into knowledge and expectations that are clear and concise to your team. But once you understand what the expectations of you are, then you can then in turn establish the appropriate time and resources that are going to be required to achieve that goal. If you go into executing your efforts, your actions to achieve a goal with any level of ambiguity as exactly what's expected of you. Because there's a lot of assumptions made when bosses are giving out goals to managers. Don't fall victim to that. Ask questions. And you also have to clearly define your working hours. You have to have a limit to the number of hours you work during the course of a week. Yes, there's going to be bubbles. Yes, sometimes there's going to be hockey sticks. But you must, as a human, as a functioning partner to somebody else in life, you've got to delineate personal time. And then you've got to also be willing to execute your boundaries and sometimes even communicate that to your boss and your team members, because sometimes they ask too much of you too. And if you do all this, if you establish a rule for yourself that can be violated for short periods of time, when you have really excessive workloads, but you can't be constantly available. You cannot. I talk about this in depth in the time management course, and I won't get into the depth of it during this podcast. That's something else that takes and requires some amount of discussion. If you're interested in learning more about time management and our courses around that, I'll put a link in the show notes. It's one of our most popular courses, but let's talk about now your excessive workload and making yourself available all the time. That's very dangerous. Oh yeah, it's very rewarding. A lot of people are going to look up to you and say, man, my manager's awesome. They're always there for me. I don't think they ever sleep. Good Lord, you're headed down a bad course, friends. So you must understand what your goal is so that you can in turn set realistic goals. And within all of that, you also have to have some guidelines for yourself for your personal time. You must. You've got to establish those boundaries. You must have a sense of control over your work and personal life. And as a former executive, I learned the invaluable skill of asking questions of my boss, especially when it came to goals. When goals were assigned to me by my boss, trust me, friends, many bosses look at you, give you a goal, give you an expectation, and then make sure the natural assumption, if you don't ask, that you understand perfectly. And if you are somebody that constantly has to go back, retrace your steps, do things over, recommunicate things, get frustrated that, why didn't you just tell me that in the beginning? That's a bad habit. The good habit, the best practice, the habit that's going to work better for you is to stop and don't assume that your boss assumes that you know it all. Your boss is going to think you know the right course. So it's okay to be a little vulnerable and ask some questions and clarify, seek that clarity through thorough, effective questioning. By asking these very specific questions: how much, how long, who's going to do what by when, what's my budget, what do you feel like I need to do? These are my ideas. Do you think they'll work? What else am I not thinking of? I could go on for some period of time about all the questions you need to ask. That's you gaining clarity and alignment. And by me asking enough questions for me to fully understand what the goal was, and some understand it quicker and easier and can figure things out because they've worked with this boss for a longer period of time, know what the boss wants. But if that's not the case for you, You cannot communicate the goals to your team unless you have the clarity from your boss. Ask questions of your boss so you can clearly communicate those goals to the people who actually have to go achieve them. Once I had that clarity, I could then go and engage my team members and ask them ideas, solutions, thoughts. I could collaborate with them, in other words. And through that collaboration, through their questions, I could gauge their understanding. If it was a monologue, if I came in and said, we're going to do this and this to achieve this, they'd all nod their heads because I was the boss, and comedy would ensue. Wasn't so funny at the time. But if I allow them to collaborate, engage me in their questions, I can then gauge their understanding, and gain their perspectives, so that once we go out there and start putting action into it, I know they're committed because they've had some say in all this. Involving them in goal setting and execution and allowing them to have a voice is a superpower. And it's one that I fostered to a high level of success. And in turn, I gave ownership of the achievement to my team. They got it done. I didn't get it done, but it required effective communication and in collaboration on my part. And when my team was completely bought in and or in the right direction with clear understanding of what was expected of them, I had to work less. Get it? I wasn't as stressed out trying to anticipate, micromanage, and do all the crap you got to do if you don't take these steps. So question your boss, get clarity, bring it to your team, collaborate with them, get their input, their thoughts, their buy-in, create a dialogue, not a monologue, gauge their understanding, clear up any ambiguity, and you've got a superpower that's now propelling you forward with less work on your part. Promote collaboration. Collaboration drives success. You don't have to be the only thinker in the room. Swallow that one. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about time management. Number 2, time management. It's a critical factor in preventing burnout is your time management. You've got to effectively allocate the time and the resources to the task. You must be able to prioritize the responsibility. You have to plan ahead. You cannot live day to day. There's several popular techniques. There's the Pomodoro Technique. There's the one that I've used for many years called the Eisenhower Matrix. I teach that one and share all the tools in my time management course, which is to me, the most easily understood prioritizing technique and approach there is. You prioritize your task, your to-dos, your responsibilities based on urgency and importance. And again, I'm not going to get into that. But without that kind of mindset and thought, everything becomes important. And when everything's important, pregnant pause. If you use this Eisenhower box technique, you can prioritize your task to help you focus on important and urgent, and important not urgent, things that you can accomplish over a period of time. It allows you to delegate less important or critical tasks. Because now I'm looking at everything together and understanding what I can and cannot have time for. And it really helps you. It's very good at helping you making better decisions, because you're going to be able to allocate your time and your team's time and energy to the most impactful, important task. And not procrastinate, because that's procrastination or allowing other priorities that are lower level to get in the way of your higher priority, but less urgent issues is where you get spun. And that many years ago, once I learned this, became my go-to tool for eliminating stress and burnout. And when I catch myself today being overwhelmed, man, I go right to this. I go right to the Eisenhower matrix and start laying out what is urgent and important, what's not urgent but important, what's not important but urgent, what's not urgent and not important. That's how all that works. And it is amazing. I've seen this happen so many times. People come to me like I'm a guru after I've had them do this. I've witnessed such a super powerful effect by what I'm about to share with you. Write your stuff down, write your tasks down, get it on a piece of paper. When you're starting to feel overwhelmed, get that stuff out of your head and get it onto a piece of paper. There's a psychological effect of that. And one of these days I'm going to look up, I'm sure there's a term for it. But it's amazing how that to-do list, if you will, that all those many things that you have to deal with and accomplish come out of your head, go down your neck, through your shoulder, down your arm, to your fingers, to a pen, to a piece of paper, how that relaxes you. It calms you down almost immediately. You'll sleep better. It unloads that mental clutter and really reduces that feeling of being overwhelmed. Seeing these tasks and commitments laid out on a tangible piece of paper will help you organize and prioritize and plan better. You just do it better when you're looking at it with your eyes than only through your mind. It gives you a real, true sense of control. It does. I hope you believe me. You'll be glad you did. Number 3, here's some activities. Some of these are pretty simple. Number 3, stress reduction activities. If you can incorporate some of these into your daily habits, your routines, I'm telling you, it'll have a significant impact on you reducing your stress. Very simple practices like go to lunch. Please, if you catch yourself overwhelmed, getting stressed out, and in order to make some more time in the day, you're either skipping lunch, you never leave the office, you're eating your lunch at your desk, or like I did for many years, over a trash can in the break room so I could just get some fuel in me to get back out there and get back to work. Go take a half hour. Take a half hour, go to lunch, leave the building, clear your head, and breathe. All that's going to be there when you get back, I promise you. But you're going to come back clearer headed, which makes you more effective, I promise you. It reduces that stress, reduces that mental clutter, frees your mind a little bit. And if you can go out and get a little physical exercise, walk somewhere, walk to lunch, walk around the parking lot. If you're feeling yourself stressed out a little bit, go take a walk. Go get a little bit of fresh air. Get away from the work for a few minutes. 10, 15. It's amazing how it can bring your mind down. It's a great stress reducing activity. And this will buffer you from the burnout. Yeah, that's a popular term, self-care, and this is a perfect example of self-care. And it helps you maintain a healthier work-life balance. How about solving problems? As a manager, you're solving problems all day, every day, right? So let's talk about the next one. You're facing problems all day, every day. You're having to solve them. Stop slapping Band-Aids on them and think about these problems. Where are they coming from? What is the root cause of these problems? Is it a person? Is it a process? Is it a product? Is it a lack of communication? Is it a lack of people? What is causing this same problem, or what I call problems falling under an umbrella? There's generally a root cause to that. Solve it at the root cause so that you prevent these problems from ever occurring. Be a fire preventer versus a fire fighter. If you're addressing many of the things that suck up a ton of your time on a surface level, you're just treating the symptoms. You must delve deeper. Don't just get it done and out of the way. You must delve deeper into understanding and tackling the underlying cause. And then you can make it a priority and get on your list of things to do to get a resolution to it so you don't have to deal with it again. Root causes. It reduces stress because it reduces the number of times somebody's calling your name or interrupting you all day. Find these recurring problems, get to the root cause, fix it. Effective communication. Many people believe they're communicating, and this is the problem, when there in fact is a lack of communication. They think they're communicating when in fact they're not. In their mind, because they're saying it, they're communicating it. Communication is a two-way street. It's got to be received and processed and dealt with, absorbed, acted on, understood. That's effective communication. Just because you're saying it doesn't mean it's being received in the way you need it to. How do I build effective communication? It starts with you building strong relationships and open lines of communication, being open, being trusted, being supportive of your team, encouraging feedback. I talked about collaboration earlier. Ask them questions. Or when they come to you, actively listen and ask them questions. Allow them to solve their own problems sometimes. You want to promptly address any conflicts that they have. But when you're effectively communicating, you say it one time and they get it right, and you don't have to say it again. And you certainly, under effective communication, don't get disappointed because, oh, I didn't know that's what you meant. Have you heard that before? Oh, I thought you meant this. Effective communication plays an unbelievably crucial role in building strong relationships. And when you've got strong relationships and great communication with your team, your stress level goes down because they're much more effective, which makes you much more effective. When you're constantly getting feedback and ideas and thoughts, and they come to you with questions before it becomes a disaster or becomes a big problem, you can create a safe space for your team members to bring and express ideas, concerns, suggestions, and then listening and taking some of their suggestions and ideas and putting them to place. You can't do them all, but help them understand why you can't sometimes do that. Don't just ignore them. Don't just keep doing your paperwork or looking at your computer or doing something else, nodding your head like you're listening, because you're not, and they know it, and you'll never get another suggestion that way. And then those are the managers say, why doesn't anybody tell me? Because you don't have a culture that allows for anybody to tell you, because you ignore everybody. It's creating stress for you, my friend. but it's so much slower. I can't listen to them all day. If you don't listen to them, you're going to have more problems. More problems equals burnout and stress. One of my favorite ways of opening up this collaboration, this effective communication, is what I call managing by walking around. I don't think I invented that term, but it's one that I've used for decades. Manage by walking around. Proactively stay out there. Stay out there amongst the people who get the job done for you every day. Spend some amount of time involved with your team members, not at your desk, not in your office, not in what you personally have to do. Go out and work with them. That helps you proactively stay on top of issues and maintain this effective communication. Open these avenues of dialogue. Your physical presence, your engagement, asking them questions, catching them doing it right, by the way, making deposits in the emotional bank account, observing them. Sometimes you can find out what's causing a problem and solve your own issue by just your eyeballs. It helps you address, prevent, fix problems early on. But if you're trying to run things from an office or from a cubicle or from another part of the building all the time, you're creating a tough situation for yourself. You must put yourself out there amongst your team. Ask them questions. Be available. And create this culture of open dialogue. Number 5, I think I'm on now. Seek support and mentorship. Something I figured out a few years ago, a couple decades ago. And I finally understood how I could benefit from seeking support and guidance from a mentor or a coach. In my case, it was a coach. My independence, my confidence, my self-assuredness prevented me from doing that, but I was stressed to the max. And lo and behold, I didn't have all the answers, or I wasn't clearly thinking about things. When you can get a third-party experience objective from either a peer, a coach, a mentor, that relationship can provide you a safe space to discuss your challenges. In turn, receive advice, a different perspective on things, and that will reduce stress. Safe and confidential spaces, confidential keyword, and being willing to ask questions and seek advice. When you engage in regular conversation and getting feedback regularly from one of these folks, it helps you gain clarity, gets you to the point where you're way more emotionally intelligent. You can in turn develop new skills and navigate very complex situations with a higher level of confidence. It's almost like collaborating, but in a different way. It's asking questions, seeking guidance, seeking input. And it's one of the most amazing things I ever did for my personal and professional growth. It enhanced my leadership abilities. It alleviated my stress. I began looking forward to these coaching sessions. And this person provided me with invaluable guidance. And almost always they could offer me an alternative viewpoint and sometimes even innovative solutions that I, no matter what, never would have come up with. Would never considered those. Just put another tool in my toolbox. Gave me even more knowledge and confidence. I made better decisions. I was a better communicator. And it helped me reduce my stress. Number 6, continuous learning and skill development. We must always be learning. It plays a crucial role in reducing stress. and burnout. When managers gain more knowledge, obtain more tools to navigate challenges more effectively, what do you think the outcome is going to be? So commit to continuous learning and expand your understanding of best practices, other ways, innovative ways, leadership techniques, processes, mindsets. What else is it? You haven't figured it all out, of course. I certainly never did. And it allows you to approach your role with in heightened confidence and competence. And this competence leads to a sense of mastery. And that mastery, sense of control, reduces your stress. And it promotes a very positive mindset on your part. And this professional development could come from taking courses, getting training, might tie in a little bit with getting a mentor or coach, investing your time in you and your own development, learning more, seeking more information on how to do your job effectively, because it goes without saying, it's almost rhetorical, that, of course, if you know more about doing your job, you're going to do it better. And the better you do your job, the less stress and risk of burnout you have. Your commitment to ongoing learning allows you to adapt to changing circumstances. And circumstances are always changing. And if you're stuck with doing your job the same way you've done it for decades or even years, you're probably missing out on some new ways. Maybe even some creative solutions that you don't know about. And it also gives, at least me, I'm sure it'll give you a sense of fulfillment. And in the end, reduces your risk of burnout. I years ago committed to prioritizing my professional development, continuous learning, and it continues today. I spend at a minimum a half hour a day, generally around an hour, educating myself. I still take courses. I still go to webinars, seminars. My go-to is reading. I read books. I read articles every day, 7 days a week. The more I know, the better I am. The better I am, the less stress I am. And the less burnout I feel. And by you expanding your understanding of best practices, leadership techniques, processes, mindsets, you stay updated with the latest industry trends, leadership trends, workplace trends, problem-solving trends, all kinds of new perspectives. And that will promote in you a healthier work-life balance because you'll work more effectively. This growth is amazing. Personal growth is amazing. Never stop learning. Invest in yourself. Take some courses. I'd love for you to take results-driven leadership management training courses. $47 per month. Think about that. $10 and change a week to invest in yourself. Pretty low ask to continue to gain knowledge that you don't possess today. Shamelessly, I'll put a link in the podcast if you're interested in checking it out. You can quit at any time. No obligation. Number 7. This is one I struggled with, but I've gotten better with through the years, is taking time for regular reflection and self-assessment. It's a powerful practice that allows you to identify potential sources of burnout. Stop and be introspective. Stop and take inventory of your habits, your work-life balance. Pick up, if you're regularly doing this, before it gets too far, you can catch it and redirect it. You can start recognizing patterns or bad habits that you're adopting. It's so easy. That's the insidious villain I talk about. You can catch these bad habits that contribute to burnout, and then you can identify ways to improve it or redirect yourself. This allows you to also adjust your priorities. Is this really what I need to be working on right now? It helps you reprioritize tasks. Maybe if you're assessing things, doing self-assessments, you'll identify that I'm not the best person to be doing this. Maybe you need to delegate these responsibilities, which may mean I need to train somebody else to do some of this. And additionally, celebrating big and small achievements. When you accomplish something introspectively, that's one thing to know it. Go celebrate, reward yourself. But if you don't stop and do a little self-reflecting, analyzing, learning, rewarding yourself, analyzing your mistakes, what am I going to do differently in the future? What am I going to do to make sure it doesn't happen again? Powerful way to reduce stress, because if you commit to that, if I understand it, if I can unpack what went wrong and then re-engage all that in the future in a more effective way, I'm better. Examine your missteps and then identify and develop areas of improvement. Enhance your ability to be a highly effective manager. You'll make better decisions. You'll be more strategic. You'll be better at problem solving. Your communication skills will certainly get better. Learn from your mistakes. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. But if you learn from those mistakes, it can build a high level of resilience, which in turn will increase your effectiveness and minimize the likelihood of repeated past errors, which in turn reduces stress and burnout. Very valuable. Through regular, weekly, or even daily sometimes, depending on how stressed out you are, this self-reflection, doing it daily or weekly. I know I was able to identify recurring mistakes, get to those root causes again. Then I could take proactive measures to avoid them in the future, because I didn't want to face those consequences again. And the main consequence we're trying to avoid here is burnout. I want to make sure I don't repeat bad habits. You want to stay sane and stay in the game. That's what all this is about. So, wrapping this up. Implementing effective stress reducing and burnout eliminating approaches that I shared with you today through my personal experience can really help you stay more resilient and motivated. Prioritize your self-care. Make sure you're understanding and then setting realistic goals and boundaries. Engage in continuous learning. Seek mentorship or coaching. And then some of these stress-reducing activities, self-reflection, going to lunch, clearing your head from time to time during the day. Embracing these approaches, managers, business owners can confidently navigate their roles, reduce their stress, and you'll in turn foster a feeling of a successful, sustainable career. And as you reflect on these strategies I shared with you today, I promise you, Adapt or adopt a couple of these. It'll help you maintain your sanity and reduce your stress. That stress leading to burnout that you want to avoid at all costs. Costs you personally and costs you professionally. So pick one or two of these that you can begin implementing in your daily life. And even very small steps can make a significant difference. You can't do them all at once. Take one, maybe two, and start practicing them. I'm sure there's one in here I shared with you today that you're either guilty of, or you can take action on. So thank you for listening today. And again, results-driven leadership. If you want to experience exponential growth, reach new heights in your management success, with all of our expert guidance, you're getting just a taste of it on the podcast. Reach out to us. Our programs are meticulously designed to empower business owners, executive, and managers with the necessary tools to amplify their effectiveness and overall happiness. So I thank you for listening today. And by the way, the fact that you're listening to this podcast already shows you're invested in your personal growth and knowledge. So hats off to you. I really appreciate you doing that. I'm glad you're including me as part of that. It's an honor. So keep up the good work there. And I look forward to talking to you again next week. Well, that's a wrap on another episode of the Business Mechanic Show. If today's content resonates with you, then you're going to love what we have to offer. For those of you who are ready to take your business or personal career to the next level, we have an array of training and coaching services tailored just for you. From performance coaching designed to enhance your potential, to executive coaching that guides leaders to steer their ships towards greater success. Are you in sales management or looking to fortify your leadership acumen? Dive into our sales management training and coaching. Not only will it sharpen your strategies, but it will also provide you an ROI that's undeniable. Remember, the best investment you can make is in yourself and your team. For those seeking flexible learning options, we're excited to share our online and in-person management leadership classes. These aren't just your typical courses. They are meticulously crafted, ensuring that they align with your unique needs and aspirations. And the best part, prices start at just $47 per month, making top-tier coaching and training accessible for everyone. Your growth, both personally and professionally, can have a ripple effect, the one I call the transformational triangle of change. The skills you learn, the perspectives you gain, and the efficiencies you create can translate into increased revenues, more cohesive teams, and an enriched company culture. So why wait? The potential ROI on this investment isn't just in dollars, it's in the progressive future you're carving out for yourself and your organization. Thanks once again for tuning in. And remember, every business needs a tune-up every now and then. Let the Business Mechanic Show be your guide. Check out our website, rdltraining.com, to discover more details on our programs and coaches. We have a link in the show notes to guide you there. Until next time, we're out of here.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds.
Recently, I asked Mint Mobile's legal team if big wireless companies are allowed to raise prices due to inflation. They said yes. And then when I asked if raising prices technically violates those onerous 2-year contracts, they said, "What the f*** are you talking about, you insane Hollywood ass?" So to recap, we're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month.
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.